of Britain, Mend and Cage as groups with Islamist orientation and beliefs that will be held to account following the launch of this new definition of extremism. We're joined on LBC News by Saghir Hussain, who is one of the legal advisors to Cage International. Thank you very much for joining us on LBC News tonight. Can I get your reaction as a representative of this organisation, your reaction to being put on this list today?
Well, I think it's not a list that has any statutory power or implications as far as I understand at the moment. So until it has that kind of implications, it's just a political opinion where someone like Michael Gove, who has his own political opinions, some would say very extreme, as is, for example, he sports what the International Court of Justice have called a plausible genocide in Israel. So that in itself is extreme if you want to go into definitions of what's extreme. Now, he just used that to label a few Muslim groups, including Cage. And Cage is, if it's better for your audience, it's a Muslim-led organization, but its remit is actually to promote the due process and rule of law. The values, the traditions that we won by British citizens over centuries since the Magna Carta. So what extremism does, what these labels do is actually is an attempt to give more discretionary power to the state officials. So he knows he can't pass it as a law because Parliament cannot find a definition which will allow them to be able to explain what is right or wrong. Because at the moment, many would say, well, many people in the Labour Party are extremists, many people in the Conservative Party are extremists. So who do you target? What do you do with them? So when it comes to opinions, what, if I may say so, what's going on here, and I've monitored this for 2 or 3 decades through my career, this is political rhetoric for a wider agenda. And the wider agenda is, I think, is to suppress dissent, particularly against foreign policies. And the current events in Gaza since October have led to millions of people turning against the government. And I think it's that they're trying to play with. And it's very easy because, got demonized minorities. Everybody thinks, it's all about Muslims. It's actually not about Muslims. Muslims are just being used as a cover, a wider agenda, which is to suppress dissent.
Do you fear that this actually might make things worse, might actually make groups more angry with each other?
No. It was, to be fair to Michael Gove, it's a political opinion. As long as it doesn't mean that Cage or Mend or anybody else right to express their opinions, it's not censored, or etc. Their banking is not withdrawn, their access to social media is not withdrawn, all these sort of things. I mean, he can express his opinion. He's got extremist political opinions, but he's won elections, so he's in government. But you know what? If somebody else comes into power who thinks Michael Gove is an extremist, if they pass legislation, which is Parliament is not passing legislation for that very reason, it leads to people being arrested and harassed and coerced on a regular basis. And that's not the kind of country Britain is. And this has been quite clear for centuries, You're allowed to express your opinions, and Britain has a very rich tradition where all kinds of opinions are expressed.
There's a fine line here, isn't there, between free speech and, I guess, extremism, and it's about where that line is drawn, isn't it? Do you have concerns that there might be a bit of overreach going on here, potentially? Well, the point is, I was looking at Cage's Twitter account, and one of the tweets I tweeted earlier was about Melanie Phillips on BBC Question Time. I mean, she's a well-known commentator, the Moral Maze, etc., writes with Times, and she was an inspiration for the guy who killed about 70-odd people in Norway, Andrew Breivik, because he was so inspired by her anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant views. Now, is that extremism? Should she be censored? Do you know what I mean? So it's a debate that we all need to have, and I think we've got to be very careful that we don't fall for this kind of political rhetoric from experienced politicians like Michael Gove, and look at what the underlying agenda is. And I think the underlying agenda is
is to actually try to bully people bully civil society organizations, bully media organizations to say, you know what, don't let these people have access to public platforms where they can express opinions which are against the British foreign policy, for example.
Saghir Hussain, a legal advisor to Cage International. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time speaking to us here on LBC News tonight.
Where the news never stops.